Hi, I'm Tom Althouse, and thought I'd do a quick YouTube video. The reason for that is we were entertained thoroughly by Mr. Cormier when he did his YouTube video of his Amazon Chinese guitar purchase. The one that he purchased looks very similar to this, and we decided we purchased two. We looked on Amazon, and we didn't have a lot of luck there. I did find one, but it was like $1,100 and change Canadian, so there'd be taxes and everything on top of that. We had a lot more success when we looked on eBay. If you do a search for 41-inch acoustic guitar, you'll find many variations of these guitars. I made some notes here for myself so I didn't forget anything. This one came from a company who represented itself as RS Shop. This one came from a company that represented itself as Music Lab Guitar Factory. Both of these were listed for in the upper $500 US range, but both offered that you could put an offer in the guitars, which we did. They accepted $400 US for this one, and they accepted an offer of $420 US for that one. At the time, that would make that about a $585 Canadian purchase, and this a $535 Canadian purchase. They both came in like JP's in a styrofoam box, completely taped on the outside with packaging tape to keep the styrofoam from chipping and falling apart. This, when I opened it up, had just strings that were black, looked like they'd been put on in 1962 and left there. So I put on elixir strings on this immediately. This came with the strings that are on it right now. And when we took that out of the packaging, there was something loose inside, so I turned it over and did the pick shake out. And what I found came out was this piece of wood, glued on the back, and looking at the size and shape, I knew where to look. I looked at the center seam for the back on the inside of the guitar, and sure enough, there was another piece that was loose, that was of the same shape, and I pulled that off. And what it reveals is fake Martin stamps on the inside. It says Martin and Company and etc. and all, to make it look like a Martin. Now, looking at the two of them, you'll see that this one clearly has a Zooey headstock and has this type more like a guild headstock shape. A Zooey label clearly inside. This was obviously heading towards a Martin knockoff. Has a Martinish rectangular headstock with nothing on the top. The back of this guitar has a nice smooth C shape volute. The back of this guitar has a very Martinish diamond volute. Everything else is almost identical, as you can see. The back and the sides, the top, the base, the inlay's identical. This guitar, you can see in the side that there's a preamp, there's an under saddle pickup. This guitar has no preamp, no pickup. It has no pick guard. This has a pick guard on it. That would be the differences. Now, similarities are many, many, many. Identical inlays. The vine's identical. Every detail's practically identical. Only changes in these, the headstock. This has one addition of putting more inlays on the bridge. Looks very nice. They're both what we used to call presentation style guitars. Stuff that would be specially made for gifts or something to show off, or somebody that's receiving an award or something like that, with this elaborate inlay. Beautiful. They're both well constructed. They both hold their tune very well. Both the tuners are knockoffs as well too. They have a brand name on them. They're not those. They look the part. If you look closely, you'll see a little bit of pitting on that. They work fine. They have mechanical backlash, but the proper tuning technique of coming up to pitch takes all the backlash out and leaves it stable, so that's just fine. If you really wanted to replace them, it would cost you in the neighborhood of $150 for the tuners, plus the labor to put them in. I wouldn't change them. How do they sound? Well, I would imagine this one sounds very similar to JP's. The intonation's good. Plays well, intonation's good, no changes made. This came with these strings, they're fine. This is bassier sounding, slightly. Both of these have been sitting for 3 days in the studio. This is a little lighter touch. It might require some tweaking on the setup for a heavy picker like myself, but both are very playable right out of the box. Now, looking around, there is a Zooey USA, which I found on the internet, the website. They have a very similar guitar to this, but instead of having the elaborate vine, they have the very Martin D45-ish blocks. It is listed at $850 US is what they're asking for that, plus $50 extra for the Fishman pickup. That puts it $900 US in the $1,200 and change range in Canadian dollars, plus there would be shipping, import duties, and taxes on top of that. So taking a look at that and doing a little dive on top of it, they are available through eBay, through multi-people. It's the usual cycle. They'll say, oh, there's 10 remaining, there's 9 left, there's 1 left. And then as soon as that disappears, 14 more appear in its place, that type of thing. I would say that I do not believe for an instance that they're made by apprentice luthiers. I do believe that in the Chinese tradition of knockoffs, whether it be Gucci bags, Rolex watches, iPhones, or whatever, that they're made to be an exact knockoff. All of this looks like this would be CNC routed on the necks. They're exactly the same shape. Everything on the sides and the backs are exactly the same. Fine, it looks good, it's built well, and it sounds great. There's nothing wrong with it for the price. So we will probably be selling this off for only the money we have it, which is about $600. It's got, a set of elixir strings on it now as well. That puts it almost exactly $600. This one I might keep for a travel guitar and do a little longer test on it to see how long it lasts. So I hope that has been helpful for anybody that's been curious like Lorraine and I have. And we hope that you enjoyed this. And again, thanks to Mr. Cormier for taking the initial plunge and checking these out to start off with. So carry on, enjoy your guitars, and I hope to see you at South Perth Recording in Elora. Cheers.